And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about Lawrence Butler and his breakout season for the Oakland Athletics. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get our number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, as I said, our third segment is going to be here about Lawrence Butler and his breakout season for the Oakland Athletics, so let's get into it. I think Lawrence Butler really has become one of the most underrated players in baseball, probably because he's on Oakland, and to be honest, not many people care about Oakland, as they shouldn't. I mean, their management has really run that once great franchise into the ground, and it's very unfortunate that they handicap them with money and all that, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But, through all the, horribleness that Oakland organization has, there have been a lot of good players that have come out, and we've heard about, a few of them, like, of course, Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, but one of the players that is really not getting a lot of credit for how well he's done this year on this Oakland team is Lawrence Butler. Butler is a 24-year-old outfielder who has been developed in this Oakland organization, was a draft pick of them a while ago, was a 6th-round pick back in 2018, really came out of nowhere, and has done really fantastic with this A's team. Became a legit prospect a little while ago for them, and you look at him just as a player, and it makes a lot of sense. This guy is 6'4", 185. He looks huge as well, has a really nice tall frame with that stance as well. So this is a guy that I've had my eyes on for a little bit. Came up last year, wasn't that great with Oakland. Did play in 42 games over there. Didn't do that great, only having a 60 weighted runs created plus. So not really someone that did great last year, but was always someone I kind of subtly had my eye on, thinking, I think this could be someone that really helps out this Oakland team in the future. And he's done that this year. He's had a fantastic season with them, and I do want to go over it. So, first off, this year with Oakland, he has a 121 rated runs created plus, which is absolutely fantastic. Has 236 at-bats to the team as well, so it's not exactly like it's some short sample size. Has 12 home runs as well. So, Butler really showing off that power, showing off that hitting prowess, and I think that he brings a really good skill set with this A's team. Not just that, but I think he can play really good defense once he gets developed in the outfield as well. I don't think this is someone that is really going to be a DH for the rest of his career. Has done pretty solid there. Has 0 DRS throughout his career, so it's not negative, which is really something you want to look for when you have this kind of athlete in the outfield. You're always going to be kind of patient with him. So the fact that he hasn't shown he's completely useless out there in the field is a really good sign, in my opinion, for this A's team and in this A's future. Looking at his batted ball stats as well, his line drive percentage is at 21%, which is really, really good. Ground ball percentage is a little high at 37%, but it is down 4% from last year where it was 41%, so he is getting better at that, and I'm sure that's something the A's coaches will teach him. Their manager is Mark Kotsay, who is a former great player in the big league, so I'm sure he knows how to talk to young hitters, knows how to develop them, knows what the right things to say are, so not exactly like there's no coaches there in Oakland to be able to help these young players. After that, he's hitting the ball opposite field 30%, which is solid, and pulling the ball more from last year, at 30, up 5% from that. Is hitting the ball harder as well, going up from 31.5% last year to 38.2%. So Butler has done a really good job this year breaking out, becoming a really good player for this Oakland team. And I do think that in the end, he's going to become a fixture with this Oakland team. Maybe not a superstar, but I think could be just a really good, solid player with this Oakland team, and going with them for the future. They're having a really interesting future now, going to Sacramento, of course, for the next 2 years, then going to Vegas when they, of course, leave Oakland and leave the Oakland moniker behind officially. But I think that, again, Butler is someone that I'm really going to have my eyes on watching for the next few years, because the A's aren't going to be that good. And he's someone that I think has a really high ceiling with his power capabilities. Could be a bat that I think hits 25 to 30 home runs every single year. A bat of a 110 WRC plus or higher every year. So really excited to be able to watch him, and really excited to just be able to see how he does progress with this Oakland team. And I think that overall this requires a broader discussion about this A's team, because when we look at this Oakland team, we kind of think of, doom and gloom with how bad the franchise is. They're moving and all that kind of stuff, and the fan base hates them, and that's all true, that's all fair. But something we're not realizing in that is that the A's have a foundation here. They have some really good players that are coming out of this. I think that J.P. Sears and Ken Waldichuk are very solid starters for this A's team. Mason Miller, of course, is maybe the best closer in all of baseball. And with the hitting core, You now have Nick Kurtz, who I think will be up very soon after getting drafted this year. Lawrence Butler, again, someone that I think is going to become a very big piece of this A's team in the future. So there are pieces here that you can see going into the future that you can, that you think are going to be a big part of this team. Of course, I also forgot to mention Brent Rooker, who they probably should have traded at this deadline, but since it seems like of course they didn't, so it seems like now they want to make him a big part of their team, which I don't think is horrible. I mean, he's become one of the better DHs in all of baseball, so that's something you would look out for as well. Joey Estes as well, another young pitcher there who's shown some flashes as well. Luis Medina, who of course was a pickup, a former top prospect. The Yankees, I believe, has also not done horrible. So there are some pieces here in this A's team that I think could be players you look towards as long-term solutions. Of course, they have two really good catchers, which is kind of random, Shea Langoliers and Tyler Soderstrom. Of course, Langoliers is the biggest part of that Matt Olson trade going to Atlanta. So Langoliers has become a really good player within Oakland these past few years. Has 21 home runs this year with them, so really good props to him. I think he can become a future big-time player with this A's team. You also have Tyler Soderstrom, a former top prospect who is a catcher with them. Seems like he'll be shifting more towards first base as the future goes on to be able to have him and Langoliers in the same lineup, so that's something as well. Tyler Nevin, who they picked up from Baltimore, isn't great, but I think could be a good bench piece within the future of this A's team. Seth Brown, I think, is going to be a really good first base corner outfield type. Isn't having the best season this year, but had a really solid season last year, and I think could be someone you build upon as well for this core. You also have Abraham Toro, who you signed after he got released a little while ago. So I think that could be a big part. Jacob Wilson, of course, one of your top prospects who has come up and could be a part. Miguel Andujar surprisingly had a really good season. JJ Bleday has done a fantastic job hitting with this A's team, so props to him. So you also have Esther Ruiz, of course, who steals 1 million bases every year. So there is a core building within this Oakland team. There are players here that you can look at and say towards the future, they're going to be big parts of our team. They're going to be guys that we think can be, a huge part of what we're trying to build, not only in Oakland, not only in Sacramento, but for Vegas as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see. You, of course, also have Denzel Clark, Darrell Hernandez. I don't think I'm pronouncing that name right. I apologize. Luis Morales, Daniel Susak, Mason Barnett. So there are some players here for this A's team that can potentially be big pieces in what you want to build. So as much as the A's don't have a great franchise right now, as much as it's kind of doom and gloom, there are things here that you look at and say, you know what, he could be here in 5 to 10 years. He could be here in 5 to 10 years. So I think that we need to watch out for this A's team. I don't think they're going to be competitive in the next 2 to 3 years, but not just Lawrence Butler, but a lot of these players as well have a good future ahead of them, and I think that the A's could be building something if they play their cards right, which I don't think will happen, but we could see. So going from one team's young core to another, we'll be talking about the Colorado Rockies and their young core, and kind of in the same boat as the A's, a team that is kind of doom and gloom and all that kind of stuff, but quietly has been building a really nice core that I do want to talk about. So we'll be going over that, and I'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download